Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Hello, my name is Chris Roberts. Welcome to The Long Road. I hope you liked the new intro. The two guys behind the seats came and worked it up. And I guess they're saying that I've been a little feisty along the way and maybe hurting someone's feelings. But I don't try to hurt anybody's feelings. I just try to get out as much information as I possibly can. Excuse me. And second is that I would love for anybody who listens to anything I say, go and fact check anything that I say, because I would more than love the opportunity to have someone prove me wrong. So that means I wasn't doing my homework enough. And when you're trying to prove me wrong, you're getting yourself more knowledgeable. Today, we're going to talk about political slogans, campaign slogans. Before I came here today, I checked my mailbox, and I got 3 more political campaign flyers today. The primary election is on September 10th. They'll be in 5 places to vote here in Keene. I think the hours are going to be 8 to 7. And I don't know how the rules are going. They always change, but make sure you bring an ID card with you so you can vote. If you're in Ward 1, I would suspect that now that the students are back in town, there may be a pressure to get a lot of the students to sign up and vote. Because I saw online today, it was a thing from Harris and Walt. Hello, students back in town, sign up, donate, work for us. So that's the way it's going to go. The problem that I have with campaign slogans is my second degree is in social science. And when it comes to politics, or when it comes to merchandising or selling something, it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. So when you keep it simple, stupid, you want to put very little information forward. You don't want to put enough information to cause someone to think. Because when people think, they ask questions. And when people ask questions, if I'm going for a campaign, I can practice and I can rehearse the questions. And sometimes we'll even plant people out in the audience to ask the questions that I've already heard. If you ever noticed a news conference and they're getting farther and farther between, is they hate it when someone says, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Former President, can I ask a follow-up question? And the first thing that runs through their mind is, holy crap, I have no idea what that question is going to be. What am I going to do? How am I going to answer that? So that's why when people go in and say campaign slogans, you're going to have to keep them really dumbed down, and you're going to not take responsibility. When you go in, we'll get a bunch of these the rest of this week and Saturday. We won't get any Monday because we'll get them. The 9th will be, Monday will be Labor Day. So we'll get them all the way up until the 9th. And people are going to say really, really, really basic things. They say when you need something done right, send a strong woman. That's Maggie Goodlander. Okay, I have a wife, I have 3 daughters, and I have 2 granddaughters. And if they came up to me and said, "Hon, Dad, Papa, what is a strong woman?" Do I copy Maggie Goodlander? But I don't know anything about her. They just said she's a strong woman. Do I copy Vice President Harris? But she's done things that you told me that you would be disappointed if we did. Okay? I tell my daughters, my granddaughters, my definition of a strong woman is someone that's well educated, who knows how to take care of her children, knows how to take care of herself, never puts herself in a situation that she has to stay in an abusive relationship because she doesn't have the capability of earning money. To know a strong woman does not allow herself to be in an abusive relationship. A strong woman does not allow her kids to be abused, even if the kid's father. There's a difference between being a father and a dad. If the individual is not going to be a dad, you have to be strong enough to walk away. You have to be able to be independent. You have to make sure you strive to make sure your children are better than you. You strive to be ethical. You strive to help other people. To me, that's a strong woman. Then it goes back. It is a pillar of strength. A pillar of strength. But what about the women whose husbands were killed in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria? For what? And they were left widows with a couple of children. And the VA goes, "Okay, here it is. We'll take care of you. You'll get $1,613 a month. And we'll help pay for your kids to go to college." To me, a young lady who is put into that situation by a self-serving government, self-serving senior military officers, to me, that's a strong woman. She doesn't have to tell me she's a strong woman. She is showing the world she's a strong woman. She's showing her children she's a strong woman. I don't know Maggie Goodlander. Never heard a single word about Maggie Goodlander until I started getting these posters. But a pillar of strength. Okay? So now, this is what they've gone. A strong woman. What is a strong woman? Well, if you ask all the women in the United States, the majority of them will say they're a strong woman. No, hardly anybody wants to say I'm a weak woman. I'm a weak person. The majority of people say I'm a pillar of strength. I set a good example for my family. Okay? Then the third one. She will get America back in shape. What does that mean? Does that mean financial shape? We're getting pretty close to $36 trillion in debt. We're going to pay over $1 trillion in interest. We're going pretty soon, in a couple of years, we're going to spend $1 trillion on the Department of Defense, $1 trillion plus on Social Security, retirement, $1 trillion plus on Medicare and Medicaid. Get America back in shape. Is she talking about our infrastructure, our bridges, our roads, our dams? You know, we had over $1 trillion build back better. Do we need more there? When we haven't, what have we seen? Have you seen much building going on with the $1 trillion plus? What about what about the health of Americans? Americans have one of the most obese countries in the world. Are we going to get Americans back in shape? Okay? So when it says she'll get America back in shape, again, she will get America back in shape means something different to almost every single person that read this. Or where I go, maybe I don't read the whole story, but I really, some things go insult my intelligence. Goodlander was forced to manage a 20-week miscarriage herself and with the health care she needed after Roe versus Wade was overturned. Well, got a question. So if Roe versus Wade was only overturned a few years ago, and Maggie, according to the D.C. Board of Electors public record request, was voting in Washington, D.C. I don't know about a 20-week an abortion ban in Washington, D.C. I don't know about a 20-week abortion ban in Maryland. A 20-week miscarriage herself. You need to go to help. And she said she didn't have health insurance without the health care she needed. But wait a minute. She was working for the United States government and Department of Justice. You're in the D.C. area. You're next to Maryland. You're working for the Department of Justice. And you're saying is you can't get health care because you had a miscarriage? A miscarriage is not an abortion. You could have gone to the doctor and got taken care of that. In New Hampshire, it's 24 weeks. So if they were in New Hampshire, there would have been no problem. She could have went to any place, any hospital in the state of New Hampshire and would have been taken care of. No problem whatsoever. Well, let's see. Pay by women vote. Women vote not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Granite State guts. Do you know what this? Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. You remember a couple of weeks ago when I talked about the super PACs? They can put all kinds of money into it. And then they can do what they want as long as they don't talk to the candidate. And so she served as counsel on Donald Trump's first impeachment trial and will take on MAGA's extremists who plan to take away more of our rights. So Maggie's campaign legally can't talk to women vote. So if women vote are not exactly truthful in anything they say, or they're misleading in anything they say, if Maggie's people find out about this, what they'll do is they will say is, we had no idea and we'll correct the record. Okay, so this is kind of like how the campaign goes. You go through this, nice colored pictures, short, sweet, and statements that can be mean something different to everybody. Now we have another one that comes out of Washington, D.C. 122 C Street, Northwest, Suite 360, Washington, D.C. Maggie Goodland left New Hampshire nearly 20 decades ago. Now she's running the popular playbook she learned working for Republicans in Washington, D.C. She gave thousands of dollars to Republicans and worked for a Republican in D.C. who wanted to defund Planned Parenthood. Her campaign is fueled by nearly 90% of out-of-state contribution and supported by a billionaire-backed D.C. super PAC. Okay, you can go in. Oh, her campaign is funded by a D.C. super PAC. A billionaire super PAC is funding Maggie's campaign. Well, if you go look at Paul Hoag's records, you'll see that he got millions and millions and millions of dollars outside the state of New Hampshire. Andy Custer did the same thing. Senator Shaheen. So Senator Hassan, they all do it. They get money from outside because we're a small state and they view us as a cheap pickup. They view us as a cheap date. If I can buy a New Hampshire representative seat for $5 million, that is cheap instead of trying to pick up one in New York City or Los Angeles or San Francisco or whatever. So bingo. But wouldn't you find it a little bit hypocritical? Her campaign is fueled by 90% of out-of-state contributions in bold, kind of reddish letters. Okay? But who's funding this? Let's see who's funding this. Paid for by new Democrat majority. Not authorized by any campaign or any campaign committee. So, paid for by new Democrat majority. Funded by a super PAC. Is a super PAC. So we have one super PAC saying Maggie you should not be voting for Maggie because Maggie's being funded by a super PAC. She left New Hampshire as a teenager and hasn't voted in the district since 2008. Then it goes, Maggie knows the Constitution and swore an oath to uphold it, and she taught it at UNH. So it's saying Maggie was a professor, but it doesn't tell me where she got her doctorate degree from, or even if she has a doctorate degree, when she could really be an adjunct faculty. An adjunct faculty could come in, teach a course. Okay? It goes, the untold story of Maggie Goodlander. And then we have another one sent by the same people. Maggie Goodlander left New Hampshire nearly 2 decades ago, worked for Republicans in D.C., is now using a Republican playbook to buy a congressional seat. Okay, here's the other thing. I don't know if you can see it, but if you see the Maggie one, she's got a neckline here, okay? The ones who are for Maggie, and this one for Maggie, Maggie has a neckline. This one against Maggie, she has no neckline. She has a collar neck all the way up to under her chin. Again, this one against Maggie, collar up all the way up to her chin. Okay? If you wear a collar all up where you can see, that kind of gives the impression to people that you have something to hide. So again, it's play on words, it's play on pictures, it plays on color. This one, she doesn't even smile. More of untold stories of Maggie Goodlander, the journey of a DCI insider who is trying to buy a New Hampshire congressional seat. Chapter 2, who Goodlander works for after leaving New Hampshire nearly 2 decades ago. See, this one paid for women's votes. Intelligence officer. But it doesn't really say that she was an intelligent officer in the United States Navy Reserve. We don't know how long she's been on active duty. And hey, when I was in the Marine Corps, I had some reserve units I was responsible for. I had a sergeant major who spent 30 years in the Marine Corps Reserve. He did his 48 drills a year, and he did his 15 days a week for 30 days. So basically, in 30 years, he spent a year and a half on active duty. You take out traveling time and everything, he spent less than a year on active duty. So that's why when you, again, intelligence officer, does she work for the CIA? Does she work for the FBI? Is she in the military? Is she active duty? Is she reserve? Is she National Guard? It leaves it up to you. When they leave it up to you, you will come up with the answer that makes you happy, that the answer you can live with. The vast majority of us, when we're given the chance to make the decision, we will make the decision that we're more comfortable with. Why? Give you an example. When I was in Saudi, the Saudi Arabian guy was in the Navy. He kept saying, yep, you're Egyptian, you're Egyptian, you're Egyptian. So the warrant officer I was working for, he goes, yep, his grandfather was Egyptian. Okay? I've been you're Portuguese. You're Lebanese. You're Italian. You know what? People don't really ask me what I am. They come in and decide what I am based on what makes them comfortable. Advertisers know that. Political consultants know that. And that's what they're doing here. Constitutional law professor, you're automatically going to think she has a PhD in law. Nothing here says she's a lawyer. Deputy Assistant Attorney General, where? Where was she the Deputy Assistant Attorney General? Okay. We'll pick on Mike here. Mike Liberty, he's running for the Executive Council. Again, I don't know anything about Mike, never heard about Mike Liberty. And he goes, every student deserves an equal opportunity for a quality education. Yeah, every student does. But you know what? Almost every single person that runs for elected office says that. Okay? Tell me how you can say the people that live in the Lakes region, compared it to the kids that live in Winchester and Hinsdale, how they're going to get the same education. You can say they deserve it, but how are you going to ensure it? You're not. Plain and simple. The kids in Manchester has one of the lowest per capita for students. Hey, Manchester's got some pretty bad schools. That's why people live in Bedford so kids can go to school to Bedford High. That's why people go to Kearsarge. They have different places. There are places in the state of New Hampshire where you can get an outstanding public school education funded by local taxpayers at a much lower state property tax, school property tax than we have here in Keene. And Keene will never be able to compete with them. No, I'm not talking about the top 20%. They're going to do good. Because even if the school doesn't do anything for them, they can go to VLAX. They can take courses online. Or they can find other ways to go to school and make up. What about all the other kids? Their parents can't afford to pay $1,000 for a good computer. The best they can hope for, some of them, is the Chromebooks they get from school. Their internet is what they get off the telephone. So yeah, we all deserve an opportunity. And see, we all deserve an equal opportunity for a quality education. When I was in the State House, I was a committee chair, and I went up and I voted against what the Speaker of the House, a Democrat, wanted. And if you were to go look, you would see in the book that I said our students do not deserve an adequate education. They deserve a quality education. Our kids will not get a quality education because it costs too much. The state is too old. People come here and they say, well, I don't have any grandkids in the school. I don't want to pay school tax. Bingo. 55 and above communities, I don't want to pay school tax. And so, hey, unaffordable housing is unacceptable. Unaffordable housing is unacceptable. Mike will fight back against landlords and out-of-state speculators who are driving up prices. He will work to address skyrocket housing costs by expanding resources to bring down costs to rent, buy, or build a home. Do you know what's driving up the cost? It's people like me, people who are older, people who are on committees, people who are on city councils, people who are on select boards. Okay? We approved housing, which was called workforce housing. And I specifically asked the lawyer, what do you think, workforce housing? $479,000 up at Market Basket. You're going to need about $180,000 a year to live there. And if you need 20% down payment and closing costs, you only need $100,000. And for, most families in Keene, that's almost, after taxes and Social Security, that's 2 years of every single penny you made. Household. Well, we built some more up in Hickam Road. Wealthy. I listened to numerous people came in when we tried to change the code from 5 acres down to 2 acres. And I can't tell you some of the biggest stuff that I heard. It was not just racial bigotry. It was economic bigotry. It was snobbish. They don't want to change anything. They like it. They put more into conservation and all that. Every time they put stuff into conservation, they take things off the tax roll. We pay for it, and there's less houses to build. You know, if you want to really look at it, you know, except for the places behind the Keene Middle School, go back over the 40 years and see how much was built in Keene and see who was on the planning committee, the zoning board, all those. Or even go back over the city council and see how many members of the city council were renting to college students as the price of rent went through the roof here in Keene. Healthcare should be a decision between her woman and her doctor. Okay, the state of New Hampshire goes and says the women 24 months, the first 24 months, it's between the woman and her doctor. Then it comes to, and statistics show, there are very few abortions after 24 weeks. The CDC and other ones says a lot of children can be viable after 20 weeks. And so and I was up at the State House, and we argued back and forth. And what's the question? And here's an ethical, moral question. If the child is viable and has a real high chance of surviving after 24 weeks, now we go into what's considered a partial birth abortion. Those raise some real ethical things. If, okay, now if someone says, well, I've decided I do not want to have this child. It's nothing against the child's health, nothing against my health, but it's inconvenience to me. Hey, why can't the state pay for that person to have the child? And once that child is born, that child is given to a person who really, really wants a child but can't have one, with no takebacks. Okay? That way, two people benefit. Really, in case three people benefit. Someone who doesn't want the child, made up their mind, I want the child. The other child benefits, and someone who's never had a child benefits. So, you know, so those are the questions, follow-up questions to these that none of these politicians will ever answer. Mike has 3 young girls in public school. I know he'll protect public education. Okay? He's a successful businessman who knows how to bring people together and deliver results. You got to be successful to deliver results, else you don't stay in business. A New Hampshire native who worked tirelessly to make our state more inclusive and progressive. What's more inclusive mean? What's more progressive means? Okay, what I see AOC talk about progressive, what I see Harris talk about progressive, and I think about Teddy Roosevelt talking about progressive. Oh, Teddy Roosevelt is child labor laws, breaking up monopolies, 40-hour work weeks. To me, that's progressivism. I don't know what progressive means anymore. He beat brain cancer and wants to serve to make things better. That's Mike. Well, not everybody that beats cancer ends up producing good. Okay. You know what the campaign was in the 2020 campaign? Bernie Sanders, feel the burn. What the hell is that? Feel the burn. Donald Trump, keep America great. Joe Biden, build back better. Build what better? Keep America great. What great? Kamala Harris, for the people. What people? All the people? Some of the people? AOC, New York for all. Okay, let's go back to 1948. Harry Truman's running for president. Harry Truman no one expects Harry Truman to win. And even you can see a picture in history books, Harry Truman holding up the newspaper saying Dewey wins. Do you know what Harry Truman's campaign slogan was? The buck stops here. What he said was, I'm responsible. I can't blame anybody. If you elect me president, I'm responsible. I'm not putting the blame off to anybody. When's the last time you heard a politician say that? Guess what? 52. I like Ike. Which Ike? Every Eisenhower in the country? 56. I still like Ike. We'll jump to 68. This time, vote like your whole world depends on it. So Richard Nixon is saying, this time vote like your whole world depends on it. Why does my whole world depend on it? If I'm living out in Wyoming, what's voting for Nixon depends on? What part of the world depends on? Then again, 1946. Guess what? We had another individual who was a Navy submarine officer, worked for Admiral Rickoff over one of the hardest persons, most demanding persons to work. He goes, Jimmy Carter says, a leader for change. Jimmy may not have been the best president. He may have been in the wrong time at the wrong place. But in the history of this country, there has never been a better former president. There's never been an unselfish former president who has worked hard, him and his wife, and he's fighting to get to 100, to work for the benefit of American people, Habitat Humanity and stuff. He didn't worry about kissing butt to get millions and millions of dollars to build libraries and stuff, make millions to buy big houses and everything. No, him and his wife went back to Plains, Georgia. Ronald Reagan, let's make America great again. Ronald Reagan in 84, it's morning time in America. George Bush, a kinder, gentle nation. Kinder, who are we going to be kinder to? Are we going to be kinder to everybody? Or are we going to be a gentle nation? Are we going to be a gentle nation to the rest of the world? Or are we going to be a gentle nation to American citizens? Bill Clinton, for people for a change. For people. The people that donate, the people that kiss my butt, the people do this, the people do that, the people that do my dirty work for me. Are those the people? What about the people I don't even know? Why should I care about them? Bill Clinton, building a bridge to the 21st century. Bill, there was less than 4 years after you were reelected, we were going to be in the 21st century. We were going to be there no matter what happened. Then George Bush, compassionate conservatism. You know, I guess it was unlike Dick Cheney, who Dick Cheney with his conservatism was bleed the beast, starve the beast. So if we took enough money, government support from a lot of these areas, they would starve. Inner cities would starve. We would do a whole bunch of stuff. Well, you know what? You know, we do have a lot of black families. You know, they're doing really good. They get a high marriage rate. Bingo. And they're going, oh yeah, by the way, if you get someone pregnant and you live in government housing, you cannot come in and live in that government housing unless you support your children, unless you act like a responsible adult. No, we don't need that. So guess what happened? Hey, no big deal. I still have a place to live. I can still have more baby mamas. And Uncle Sam is still going to pay me. So what happened? The marriage rate among blacks, especially in the inner cities, went down. And so what you see is a lot of these stuff that they're doing doesn't really help at all. So not only that, oh yeah, by the way, not only can you live in government housing and the government pay you, you can even take your EBT card or food stamps and you can now go to Cumberland Farms, or you can go to your corner store and buy a $4.95 tuna fish high in sodium sandwich and some other stuff there, because, you know, we don't want to make them feel bad. No, if you're being helped, you go to Hannaford, you go to Aldi's, you go to Market Basket. Oh, that $8 that you just got done spending at Cumberland Farms for junk food, you could have bought your kids a healthy meal. But hey, the government doesn't want you to feel bad. Compassionate conservatism. Then George Bush. A safer world and a more hopeful America. A safer world. Hey, George, I remember seeing you on the cover of one of the magazines on the aircraft carrier. The big sign says mission accomplished. But we were still in Iraq in 2011. We were still in Afghanistan into 2019. No, 2021. Okay, there's millions of people, Syrians, that are not in Syria anymore because we went and bombed Syria. There's millions of people that are not in Iraq anymore because we bombed Iraq. There's hundreds of thousands of people that left Afghanistan and made their way over to Europe because we were bombing Afghanistan. And this wasn't George's fault, but hundreds of thousands of people left Libya and Africa going across the Mediterranean because we decided to bomb Libya. And the only thing Libya had was Libya decided, Gaddafi was, you know what? I don't trust America. I'm not going to use American dollars anymore. We're going to come up with this new petroleum-based dollar to sell our oil. Too bad, Gaddafi. You were killed. And here it is, 13 years later. People are still killing each other in Libya. Al-Qaeda is in Libya. A whole bunch of other people are in Libya. And we got the Hutus over in Yemen. Then Barack Obama said, yeah, a change we can believe in. So we continue. We had new wars, but in different areas. And then 2012 forward. 2016, Donald Trump, Make America Great. And basically plagiarism, 1980, Ronald Reagan. Let's make America great again. And he says, make America great again. Harris goes, let's win this. Let's win this for who? For you, for me, or for Harris and her people? For the people that are donating all kinds of money. Yeah, I saw the thing on their campaign thing for the college students. 5, 10, 25, 50, 250, 2,500, and even more to donate with it. And Donald Trump, make America great again. Let's make America great again. Okay. All these people came up with Madison Avenue tested comments, slogans. Yep, let's try this. Let's get a group of people in here. Let's say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And when this group of people who are getting paid to be test subjects decide on something that's really good, that's what's fed to you and me. And you know, when we were kids, our mothers tried to feed us a lot of crap. And we often found ways to say, you know what, this is crap. We may have swished our mouth, put it in there, stuck it into our pocket, or finding just ways to hide it. Or when mom's not looking, maybe feed the dog. Find ways not to eat it. We do not have to eat all this crap. You know, if you really want to hear or read about some very insightful things that most people don't even listen to, a college graduation commencement speech. because most of the students just want to get the heck out of Dodge. They want to go and party. They want to get out. The parents want to get into the restaurant, or the parents want to get in the road to beat traffic. Aaron Sorkinson said, this is 2012, in a commencement speech at Syracuse. And I doubt very much many of the people heard this. You will meet a lot of people who, to put it simply, don't know what they're talking about. Here again, you will meet a lot of people who, to put it simply, do not know what they're talking about. In 1970, a CBS executive famously said there were 4 things that we would never ever see on TV: a divorced person, a Jewish person, a person living in New York City, and a man with a mustache. By 1980, every show on television was about a divorced Jew who lived in New York City and goes on a blind date with Tom Selleck. And again, I can't emphasize it more. When he goes and says, develop your own compass and trust it. Take risks, dare to fail. Remember, the first person through the wall always gets hurt. So, if you're worrying about getting hurt, you're going to stand there and stand there and stand there and wait for someone to go through the wall. And you're going to see him get hurt, and then you're going to say, good thing I didn't go through the wall, and you're going to leave and go the other direction. That person is going to get up, might dust themselves off, and try again until they go through the wall. They have developed their own moral compass. They know what they're talking about, and if they don't know what they're talking about, they ask. So go vote next Tuesday, but ask.
Truth in every echo loud and clear.